We have made it to the trade deadline here in year number 4 of the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB The Show 25. I appreciate everyone's patience waiting from the last episode to now with the release of College Football 26. Obviously, that's been my focus over the last week or so. But here we are. It's trade deadline time, and then we will get through the month of August in today's episode. We had a solid month of July. The team went right around 500. Yet again. We're 54 and 55. I feel like, though, even though the team cannot get out of the middle, we still had a pretty good month because we played against a brutal schedule. Won a series on the road against the Dodgers, won a series against the Cubs, and then out of the All-Star break, we won a series in Philadelphia against the Phillies, and that put us in a wild card spot, but we've only won 2 of our last 10 games since then. Things have really fallen apart, and we're now 7 games out of the division and 3 games out of a wild card spot in the American League. After that Phillies series, we were on top of the world, and things have gone crashing down pretty quickly. We did have a few All-Stars, Ezra Valenzuela as a rookie, along with Kyle Teal, his first, and Luis Robert, his fourth. We also had the MLB Draft, headlined by first baseman Shane Schmidt. With the 9th overall pick, we're going to see his and all of the other draft pick ratings later today. Let's talk about the trade deadline, though. I don't know why Mookie Betts is on the trade block. Just bear with that, I guess. But we've got some big decisions to make, being 3 games out of a wild card spot, 1 game under 500. Do we buy or do we sell? Through the first 3 seasons of this series, it was pretty clear we were not going to make the playoffs by the end of July. But that's not the case. We're in it. Now we're 7 back in the division, and we're going to have to jump 2 teams in the wild card race, Toronto and then one of the 3 teams currently there, while fending off teams like Cleveland and Texas, who have a lot of playoff experience. So there's a few different ways we can look at it. The chances of us making the playoffs are not high, given that we're multiple games back. We've got some really good teams behind us and some really good teams in front of us. However, if you do make the playoffs, I think baseball is the one sport where anybody in the postseason has a chance to go on a run if they get hot. And for me, I think it's actually a pretty easy decision here with the White Sox. We have a really young team. Most of these guys have never played in the postseason, and given where we are in the standings, it's unlikely that we're going to make a big playoff run. However, the only way these young guys can get experience in the postseason is by making it to begin with. So because of that, we will be buying. Buying responsibly, but buying. Where do we specifically need to improve this team? I think in terms of our on base, that's got to go up. 22nd in average, 19th in walks. Both of those quite a bit lower than last year. Our team ERA is in 6th, which is pretty good, but it's gotten consistently worse as the year has gone along. So I would certainly like to add a veteran bat, particularly a guy who gets on base at a high level. And I wouldn't mind potentially adding to the rotation as well. Maybe another veteran arm. We've got a lot of young guys here, and it certainly never hurts to improve upon the bullpen. As I said earlier, we will be responsible in the moves that we make. We're not going to sell the farm. A guy like Barney Wagner, for instance, is not going to be traded. I don't think our farm system is very top-heavy. We only have 3 top 100 prospects, but we do have a lot of depth, and I think we can take advantage of that depth by trading some guys away for upgrades to this lineup. I'm more so thinking about the short term, but obviously if we can get guys who can stick around for a little bit, that would be great. The problem is those players are going to cost more, and someone like Barney Wagner, for instance, I'm just not willing to trade away. I want a well-rounded offensive player. I want someone who hits well in terms of contact against both righties and lefties, high clutch rating, and draws walks. The problem is there's not a lot of guys who fit the criteria. Barney Wagner does, not a lot of other guys. I did look at Geraldo Perdomo with Arizona. He would certainly be on the expensive side because he's really, really valuable. He has a good glove at shortstop, hits for high average, decent power, cost-controlled deal for the next year and a half. But if we are willing to potentially spend big, he could be an option. I pushed down my requirements a little bit. I thought about Masataka Yoshida in Boston, but the Red Sox are in the midst of a playoff push. Yoshida was an all-star, and he's a DH. I want someone who can play defense and has positional flexibility, and he doesn't really have that. So I figured my best bet is instead to look at the standings, who's not good, who has an older player or someone who might be a free agent in a year or two who they'd be looking to ship off. And I look at Arizona, who is contending for a wild card spot in the NL. They have, I think, the exact same record as us, but the NL's loaded, and I could see them be willing to trade a guy like Ketel Marte. He's gotten a lot worse this year. He's 34 years old, and he's on the last year of his contract. Despite that, though, he has a great track record. This is a guy with a lot of experience, 12 years of MLB service, led the Diamondbacks to the World Series in 2023. He's still a 94 overall. And I think given his age, his production, and his contract, it won't be that hard to get him. A 2-month older rental, in terms of a guy who's not playing that well, probably makes more sense than a player like Geraldo Perdomo. I was surprised to see how valuable he was in the trade finder. Ezra Valenzuela, absolutely not. No chance in hell. So it looks like they're not going to be willing to do business with us. Some other guys I looked at included Andrew Vaughn. He made the All-Star team with the Astros. The problem is I don't think we can have Andrew Vaughn playing for the White Sox again. No. Victor Robles is a really interesting one. He's got a year and a half left. He's been injured for part of this year, but still has 180 at bat, so it's not a small sample. And he's hitting .350. I mean, he's been incredible this season, but he does not have a consistent track record. His highest OPS in this series is .721, not including this season. The Braves are a team who's probably going to continue to look to sell. Austin Riley, Matt Olson, and Michael Harris would all make our team better, but they are all long-term investments. Olson probably is the cheapest long-term of the group. I think he's also the best of the group, but even so, that's still 3 years, $60 million. I think the Nationals with James Wood, if we really want to swing for the fences, Barney Wagner, for instance, probably would have to be in this deal. But James Wood is legitimately one of the best players in the league, and I don't think he fits Washington's championship window. So if we do want to get crazy, he would probably be the guy we do it for. That wouldn't be buying responsibly, though. I couldn't really find many position players I like, so I decided to go to the pitchers. Jack Kuchanovich is having a nice year with the Angels, but that strikeout rate is just way too low. 53 in 130 innings, 3.7 Ks per 9. That's not good enough, even though everything else has been quite solid. If we want to shoot big, I think one of Tink Hence, Jared Jones, or Paul Skeens would be fun, but they all have multiple years of team control and would cost way too much. The Rays are the number 1 seed, so this does feel unlikely, but all three of Christopher Sanchez, Shane Baz, and Ryan Pepiot are free agents. Lord knows the Rays are not going to pay all three. Maybe Lucas Giolito, who's had a career revival in San Diego. He's made the All-Star team over the last 2 seasons, and I don't think there's as much bad blood as there is with Andrew Vaughn. The Diamondbacks have a few options. I mean, Framber Valdez is awesome. He's one of the best pitchers in the league. He has a year and a half left. I don't think Arizona would be willing, but he would be great. Maybe someone like Ryan Nelson would make more sense. He's on the last year of his deal. He's having a really good season, and he's been really good throughout the duration of the series. In 3 out of 4 seasons, his ERA has been below 3. Brandon Pfaadt as well. He has a year and a half left. He's a guy I thought about at the trade deadline last year, potentially in a Brian Ramos deal. In hindsight, it worked out, obviously, that we did not trade Ramos. So I really wanted to look at a guy like Ryan Nelson, but I don't think they're going to be willing to. We would have to trade Barney Wagner. In terms of Brandon Pfaadt, it's a little bit more reasonable, but still, 2 B potential guys is a little bit rich for me. So from there, I figured, let's really try to dig a little bit deeper. I went into the pitching war lists for the AL and the NL, and I come across Dean Kremer with the Blue Jays. Kremer was signed in free agency this past season after a lengthy stay in Baltimore. Kremer's had a really good season with the Jays, 2.97 ERA, 1.13 whip, and he's been consistently pretty solid with the Orioles. Maybe not this good, but he's always been a solid middle-of-the-rotation arm. He's only on a 1-year deal, so this is not a long-term investment, and I don't think the Blue Jays are going to ask for that much. It seems like the asking price is 2 C potential prospects. I think I'd be willing to do outfielder Adrian Rivas and shortstop Ryan Burroughs. Rivas is currently ranked 7th in the system, so this is a pretty good get for Toronto, while Burroughs is 16th. I honestly think Burroughs is the better of the two, certainly in the short term, but maybe even the long term as well. Rivas was our 6th round draft pick last year, a switch-hitting outfielder from the Dominican Republic. High C potential, but has a long ways to go in terms of his development. And then Ryan Burroughs, who had a really good season last year in AA. He's been pretty solid again this year, was just promoted up to AAA. And I think he's a guy who's pretty close to being a big league level contributor, even if the ceiling is a little bit lower. In a lot of ways, we're killing two birds with one stone here because Toronto's actually one of the teams ahead of us in the standings. I don't see the Blue Jays as a playoff contender. They had a great first month of April and have been one of the worst teams in the league since. So that's why they're selling here. But I think this is a good deal for us to add Dean Kremer, adding another veteran to the rotation. Still feel like we need an impact bat, even though I don't like a lot of the options on the market. I did some more digging, and I come across Garrett Hampson, who's a free agent at the end of the year. Elite defense, elite speed, plays every position in the book, and has had a career year offensively. He already has career highs in both home runs at 14 and triples with 8. He's hitting .294, .355 on base, .857 OPS, 3.3 WAR. Now, I don't know what the offense is going to stick. He was the MVP of the league for the first month of the year and has cooled off since. He's gotten progressively worse and worse. He has not had a very good month of July. But my thought is, if he gives us even average play at the plate, the rest of his game is really good, given his versatility, his elite glove, and his elite speed. I'd rather not give up a B potential prospect, but again, the price seems reasonable. We've got a logjam of arms right now in AAA. We've got Jagger Haynes, who hasn't been very good this year, but has looked a lot better over the last month or so. Wilkerman Gonzalez is good. Emiliano Teodo has been not great lately, but has had a phenomenal year. And then there's Grant Taylor, who I think is the odd man out of the group. Now, he's been really good as of recent. 6 consecutive quality starts in a row. I think he's ready for the show, but I just don't think he's going to get that opportunity here. Cobb Hightower, an intriguing second base prospect. We got him from the Padres in the very first offseason in the Bryce Wilson trade. And then DJ Gladney, who's been a productive minor league hitter for us for a while. But with the emergence of Clark Elliott, who's having a really good season, who we got, I'm pretty sure, from the A's, ironically, Gladney becomes a little more expendable. Taylor is the 10th ranked prospect, Hightower is the 19th, and Gladney is not in our top 20. Along with Hampson, we'll be getting Dre Jamison, a 30-year-old reliever who's having a good year in AAA, and that's where he will stay with us. I do like that he has big league experience, and he's played well in the majors. Granted, he hasn't been up in 5 years. But if something in the bullpen goes haywire, we've got another backup option and a guy with some big league experience. So those are going to be our 2 trades. I feel like we were responsible in the moves that we made. We sacrificed some depth in the farm system, but I think it's going to be worth it. So Kremer's going to take Prelander Baroa's spot on the roster. Baroa just got injured and was put on the IL. Hampson will take Jacob Gonzalez's spot. It's disappointing given that we've had some great moments from him this year. The walk-off grand slam in the last episode, the walk-off home run back in April against the A's. But other than the walk rate and the power, he hasn't been that good. Whereas Chase Mydroth has been pretty impressive, and I want to keep him up for a little bit. So Gonzalez will go down to AAA. Hampson, for now, will lead off. I'm not sure if I want him in the 1 spot or the 9 spot. I'm going to have him at the leadoff spot for now because his on-base percentage is so high. But I'm not sure if that's going to stick throughout the year. Dean Kremer will be entering the rotation, but the question is, who's he going to replace? I think it's going to be Hayden Wisniewski. I know he's had a pretty good season for us in his first year as a starter, but I can see him starting to wear down a little bit. Over his last 10, he has not had an outing that has gone more than 5 innings, and he's allowed multiple earned runs in each of his last 5 starts. He's gotten worse and worse throughout the year, and I think decreasing his workload, pushing him back to the bullpen makes sense. I still see a future for him as a starter, but for now, I think using him as a hybrid makes a little bit more sense, whereas Kremer will take his spot in the rotation, being the more established veteran. All right, let's go through some trades across the rest of the league. Victor Robles, we talked about him earlier, hitting .350. The Angels, it makes a lot of sense for them to sell high on him. He's going to go to the Phillies, who have a good outfield, but Kyle Tucker tore his ACL back in June. They need somebody who can play right field. They're going to trade away Jude Pitts, a second-rounder a couple years ago, fringe top 100 prospect. That's a good get for the Angels. Andrew Vaughn, the Astros are taking advantage of his impressive season. They certainly did not expect him to be an all-star when they signed him, but they are taking full advantage by maximizing his trade value, sending him to the Texas Rangers for outfielder Jerome Barr, who has B potential. The Rangers have been disappointing this year. They're under 500. They are out of the playoff picture currently, but all it takes is for a few guys to get hot. This is the same Rangers team who's made the World Series 3 years in a row. They have a big hole at first base. They've currently got another former White Sox there in Jake Berger, but Vaughn's been a lot better this year. Royce Lewis is off to the San Diego Padres. Lewis is a free agent at the end of the year, and he has been bad this season. He has lost a lot of money. He's hitting just .219, OPS around 600, WAR at -1. He has a career WAR of 3. I mean, he's just really not that good of a player. The Padres are going to give up 3 solid prospects, including third baseman Brandon Butterworth. San Diego's out of the playoff picture as well, but they will never not try to compete. And with Manny Machado injured for the rest of the year, Lewis easily slides in at third base. All right, let's get a little bigger now. Brent Rooker and Mason Miller are being traded. We'll start with Rooker. 5 straight seasons of 30-plus home runs. Very, very team-friendly contract. He's going to the Rays for Braden Taylor, Robert Warren, and Ian Morris. The Rays are the number 1 seed in the AL, but I think they could use another big bat inside that lineup. Rooker is very cost-effective. He's cheap, and he's really good. As for Mason Miller, he is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Miller has 1.5 more years on his deal as well. The A's figure they might as well get ahead of it while they can by trading these two now. The Dodgers, meanwhile, only have 4 relievers above a 79 overall. I know, the horror. So if there is a blemish on this team, it is the bullpen. They'll be giving away 3 solid position player prospects to get it done. If you're looking for some good news about the Dodgers, it's that Gunnar Henderson and Ronald Acuna are free agents at the end of the year, so it feels like this is going to be their peak. The bad news is Alex Bregman, who has not played all year, is about to come off the IL. So that team's about to get even scarier. Matt Olson off to the Diamondbacks for nothing? Don't worry, Braves fans. You'll be getting quite a bit for Matt Olson because he is really, really good. He is the modern MLB Iron Man. Prior to this season, he only missed 12 games from 2020 to the end of last year. Missed some time with an injury this year, but he's been really good. Super high walk rate, slugging .500. He has 2.5 years left on a really team-friendly deal. That feels very fair for Matt Olson. So the return for Atlanta is not actually going to be prospects. It is going to be a player, and a very interesting one at that. Jordan Lawler is going back to the Braves in a 1-for-1 swap for Matt Olson. So let's explain this for Arizona. They need a first baseman. Jose Miranda is hurt and bad. Michael Busch can play first, but he has to play third. Alex Benales is currently their starting first baseman, and he stinks. As for Jordan Lawler, over 3 years of MLB service, the Diamondbacks have really tried with him, and it's not working. There's a reason why he's currently in the minors, even as an 87 overall. He's not going to stay as an 87, though. His rating is going to go down at the end of the year because he just has not developed at all. The Braves feel that, the talent is there, and with a new change of scenery, maybe he can become something. For the Diamondbacks, you're trading a bad player for a good one. I know according to their ratings, it looks like a bad deal, but I think it makes their team a lot better. As for the final trade, Matt McLain to the Tigers, their middle infield is rough. It has not been very good this year. The Luis Rengifo contract has proven to be an overpay. Matt McLain is really good. 1.5 years left on his deal, hitting .300, OPS nearing .900. He's been one of the most underrated players in baseball for a while now, and the Tigers are going to get him until the end of next year. It is going to be a pretty big return back to the Reds, including catcher Tyrone Lorenzo, who hasn't been very good this year, but the talent is there. 24-year-old switch hitter. The Tigers don't need him since they just signed William Contreras. And then Bryce Rayner, former first-round pick a few years ago. A nice haul back to Cincinnati in exchange for McLain. So that is your deadline across the league. There were quite a few big-name guys who I thought about trading. I ultimately did not have it happen, but maybe this offseason we see some fireworks. I could see the Reds trading away Elly De La Cruz. He only has 1.5 years left on his deal, and with Matt McLain gone and Hunter Green now with Tommy John surgery, it could make sense. Paul Skeens and Jerry Jones in Pittsburgh only have 1.5 years left. Tink Henson, St. Louis, only has 2.5 years left. James Wood, 2.5 years left. And I don't think any of these players fit their current team's championship windows, and I don't know if those teams are going to want to pay those guys because most of them historically are pretty cheap. Let's go to our wheel spin now. Last episode we did Daniel Schneemann. We landed on swinging for the fences, which is ironic because he hit for really good contact in July, but he didn't hit for good power, which is weird. But his ratings will go back to normal. He is now a 75. We're going to stay at second base, though, for our wheel spin this month. I'm picking Oswaldo Escobedo. I feel like our team as a whole has obviously been cold as of recent. I mean, we're 2-8 in our last 10. And Waldo's a big reason why. He quietly has not been very good over the last couple of months. He's hitting just 150 over his last 10. He's got to be better. So let's see what the wheel lands on, and we're going to get a new one. Crisscross. Swap stats versus righties and lefties. Now, Waldo hits better against lefties. So this is kind of a good thing because, well, there's more right-handed pitchers than there are lefties. So he will now have 77 contact against righties. His power is going to go up as well. I'm fascinated to see how this affects his play over the next month or so. In the last episode, we did wheel spins for the AL Central. Max Clark landed on Spitting Image. He ended up with 80 at-bats in July, and he had around 30 hits, 8 home runs. His walk-to-strikeout rate was pretty much even. He was unbelievably good. He was a superstar in the month of July, and with a full season worth of ratings boosts, he will be moving up accordingly. He had a full 2 WAR in July. If you pace that out to a 6-month pace, that's 12 WAR. So I pushed his rating up by 4. He's an 89 overall. He's officially one of the best players in the league. He now has 99 potential as well. The future face of the MLB resides in Detroit. As a Tigers fan, I love it. As being in the Tigers division in this series, I hate it. But good for Max Clark. That's my guy. Cade Smith in Cleveland landed on the yips. His per-nines go up by 5, but his pitching clutch goes down by 50. I was curious to see if this would help or hurt his performance. Didn't really do anything. He wasn't pitching very well throughout the year, and he did not have a very good month of July. ERA at 5, whip at 1.9, despite his hits and walks per 9 improving. I don't know what's going on with Cade Smith, but he is really not having a good season as his ratings go back to normal. Cole Reagans also landed on Spitting Image. Now, he has not had a very good season, but he did have a pretty solid month of July, particularly his last outing, a complete game shutout. Don't look at the team he played against in that game. But he's been pretty solid through the month of July. As I was going through his numbers in particular, though, I kind of have a hard time finding one area where he did really well or really poorly in. So I didn't end up making too many changes to his ratings. He played roughly like an 85 overall, but he went deep in a game. So I did boost his stamina up by quite a bit. All right, let's go into the NL East. That'll be our division today for the month of August. We will go from top to bottom. We'll start with the Phillies. They look like the best team in the league. Even with Kyle Tucker's injury, no one's playing better than the Phillies. And a big reason for that is the career revival of Randy Arozarena. He was our wheel spin for the Phillies last year, but I felt like I had to do him again because he has taken his game up to another level. He was awesome a season ago. He's been even better this year. That 3-year, $40 million contract is one of the best deals in baseball. Unfortunately for Randy, though, he might be entering a little bit of a slump. Struggle bus. Hitting stats will go down by 20 for the next 10 games. His stats are still pretty solid, but definitely not as good as they were previously. It's unfortunate because Randy Arozarena has been so good this year. He's been kind of slowing down as of recent, though, and now that'll probably continue. The Mets are currently one of the wild card teams in the NL. It feels like they're starting to heat up a little bit. Even with Juan Soto playing really poorly, his WAR is essentially 0. Mr. $750 million has been a replacement-level player this year. Francisco Lindor is really heating up, though. 969 OPS over his last 10. He's playing some good ball. He's having his best season of the series, and I feel like he deserves a wheel spin here for the Mets in the month of August. He lands on a very good wheel spin. Boosted, temporary, plus 15 boost to all hitting stats. So a nice bump up for Lindor. His power versus lefties, I could only push up by 14 because it's now a 99. So his power versus righties, I pushed up by 16. The Marlins are right on the outside looking in of a playoff spot. Their lineup has a bunch of big-time bats who hit for a ton of pop. Yordan Alvarez, Connor Norby. They haven't gotten a ton of power, though, from Cal Raleigh. He was able to get a big wheel spin last year back with the Mariners. He's been a good player, 5+ WAR over the last 3 seasons, but it's been a little disappointing this year with the Marlins. Raleigh's spin is no easy outs. For every walk that he draws today, his plate discipline will go up by 0.5. So basically, for every 2 walks, his discipline goes up by 1. Atlanta's been pesky, but they are certainly not good. And we're actually going to make some history with this wheel spin. Jordan Lawler will be the first player in the series to have a wheel spin twice in the same season. He was our wheel spin for Arizona back in April, and my rule is that players are only allowed to get one wheel spin per season. But I feel like with what Lawler's situation is, being just traded away to Atlanta, obviously being a talented guy who really hasn't put it together, I feel like this is the obvious spin for the Braves going into the month of August. He lands on the Hit King, +1 contact for every multi-hit game. That's a good one. I'm curious to see how he does. He's going to have to hit the ball well, but if he does, he'll be rewarded. And then we have the Washington Nationals, who are just pitiful. There's not a whole lot of excitement with the Nationals. Mackenzie Gore has just been bleh this year. I don't know why they brought him back to begin with. They traded him to Cleveland last year and won the trade. Kyle Manzardo has been awesome. He's one of their only good players. They ended up fleecing the Guardians. But why bring him back? He hasn't been good this year. He wasn't very good last year in Cleveland. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. He lands on long-term stars. Potential will go up by 1 for every .3 WAR. For batters, it's .5 WAR, but pitchers, they go up a little bit slower in this game. He's currently at .8, so he would need to be at least 1.1 to move up. Even if he is .2 WAR, we do not do any generous rounding here. We will curve down. If it's .2, he'll get nothing. If it's .5, he'll only go up by +1. You got to earn it all the way. We get a late offer from the A's, John Gray for John Rodriguez. I don't really see why the A's would do this. A non-contending team trading away a 20-year-old third baseman for an older pitcher. We have one contract that we have to get done with one of our draft picks, Griff Delgado. He says yes. So the draft class is now fully signed. And now we're ready to go for some baseball. Dean Kremer is set to make his debut against Boston, but he just pitched 3 days ago. I do want him to pitch in this series because he's coming off a great game just a couple of starts ago against the Red Sox. So I'm going to move his start to the last game, and then Drew Thorpe and Noah Schultz will have their starts pushed up by 1. We will player lock this game because it is Garrett Hampson's debut with the White Sox. I want to see how he does. So we'll see what we get out of him here in this first game at Fenway Park against the Boston Red Sox. And again, I think the biggest thing for him is to try to dig himself out of this slump. I don't expect his current slash line to stay where it is, but if he can give us solid enough offense, get on base at a pretty good rate, that's really what we're asking for because the rest of his game is really, really good. We've got a lot of work to do these last 2 months, especially with our recent struggles. 2-8 in our last 10. The Tigers are 8-2 in their last 10. It looked like we would maybe have a chance to potentially make some noise within the division, but the last 10 games have certainly hurt our chances. Hampson playing short, batting in the leadoff spot, and it'll be against Tyler McGill, who signed with the Red Sox this offseason. He's been pretty solid. 3.5 ERA, 1.2 whip. So Hampson will be the first batter up in his White Sox debut. 294 average, 858 OPS with a career-high 14 lawn balls. We'll show the entirety of the first at bat as he goes bunt. Interesting. Garrett Hampson is a really good bunter, and with his speed, I feel like we could get some bunt singles out of him. We'll try it again, 0-1. It doesn't work, and now, well, with 2 strikes, we're not going to be able to go back to the bunt. We're actually going to have to swing the bat. Hampson now finds himself behind in the count, 0-2 against Tyler McGill. That was a tough take, but the cutter just a little bit outside, and the at-bat continues here for Hampson. Now finds himself behind 1-2 against Tyler McGill, and Hampson gets the inside sinker into right center, and it's going to drop. A 66-mile-an-hour blooper into no man's land, but hey, a hit's a hit. He's batting 1,000 in his White Sox career. Tristan Casas solo home run. Boston leads 1-0. Looks like we're not getting a whole lot offensively yet. Hampson 0-1 sends it into center where it will be tracked down by Cedar Rafaela for the second out of the frame. Still not getting a lot out of the offense as Marcelo Mayer homers for the Red Sox, and it's 2-0. But we've got 2 runners on the corners. And Hampson swinging at the outside slider. That was not the pitch. Great job by McGill to locate that one away from the zone and fool Hampson, as now things are really starting to look shaky. We are down 5-0 here in the 7th. Justin Slayton on the bump for the Sox as Hampson goes down looking on the low and inside cutter. Definitely has not been his best offensive performance, only 1 for 4 with a lucky hit to begin with. He'll get one more chance in the 9th as we're now down 6-0 with a double from Giants franchise legend Blake Sabol. He's working a good at bat here against Josh Boers as the count is full. Ropes this one into center, where it is caught by Ceddanne Rafaela. Ball don't lie, I guess. This kind of offsets the blooper in the first, going for a hit. Ultimately, the Red Sox win this game 6-0, and the struggles for the White Sox continue. That is now just 2 of our last 11 games on the win column. The offense is reverting back to the struggles that we saw early in this season back in April. Scoreless today, we got 11 hits, but 10 of them were singles, and we had no walks. Drew Thorpe got the start. He was not great. 5 innings, 4 earned. Devers, Mayer, Casas all with home runs, and then 6 scoreless for Tyler McGill. That's 6 straight losses for the struggling Chicago White Sox, who have forgotten how to play baseball. If we want any chance of even making a run at one of those playoff spots, we've got to get out of this drought now. We cannot afford to be 3, 4, 5, 6 games under 500 for much longer going into August. And we've got a long road trip here. 2 more games in Boston, 3 in Tampa Bay. Those 2 teams are tied for the best record in the American League. And then 3 in Cleveland against the Guardians. A direct competitor for us in terms of getting a wild card spot. We've got to win that series if we want a chance at a playoff run. We're getting another late offer from Houston, Isaac Pacheco, who I think they offered us in a previous episode for Daniel Schneemann. I'm not interested, although I don't know why they want to trade Pacheco so badly. Here in this second game against the Red Sox, the offense is laying another egg. Noah Schultz gave us 7 innings of 1-run ball, but the offense is not doing any favors. Hampson up the middle. The Red Sox get the out at second. Throw to first is not in time from Christian Campbell. The speed of Garrett Hampson is able to put him aboard here with 2 away, and a huge at-bat for Oswaldo Escobedo. 183 with runners in scoring position. That is not good. That's also not at all surprising. His clutch rating is good, but he doesn't play like it. And he's already behind in the count 0-2, clearly with some work to do against Bednar. Now 1-2. Hits this ball high and somewhat deep into left center. That one is not deep enough as it is caught, and the White Sox are held off the board here in the 10th. We'll see if our pitching can do the same to the Boston offense as we travel into the bottom of the 10th. Taylor Ward is at third with 2 away for Ceddanne Rafaela, with the closer Ezra Valenzuela looking to get out of the inning with another scoreless frame. Got him looking on the cutter. That is such a filthy pitch from Valenzuela, and I feel like his submarine style legitimately makes it harder to see that pitch coming. We'll go into the 11th, 2 on, 2 away for Daniel Schneemann, our late inning stud. And to no surprise, he delivers again. Single into center. Escobedo looks to score. He is safe. And the White Sox take the lead. Daniel Schneemann makes it 2-1. There's only a few certainties in life. Death, taxes, Oswaldo Escobedo not getting hits with runners in scoring position, and Schneemann doing the opposite. Julks joins him. Single into center. No play at third. They could have gotten Schneemann if the throw was better. It's an RBI single for Corey Julks, and it's now a 3-1 ball game. That one slips by the shortstop, and then with a bad throw in center by Rafaela, we're able to keep the inning going for Josh Winkowski, who comes in out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. Up for us is Braden Montgomery, the former Red Sox draft pick, and this one will go into center. I feel like Rafaela could have made a play on that ball if he went after it a little bit faster. That'll make it 4-1, Montgomery's 3rd hit of the game. Now that'll bring up Cody Hosey, the 1-0. Gets a piece of it into right center, and this one is going to drop. 1 run will score. Bimo around third, heads for the plate. He is safe. A 2-run double for Cody Hosey, and the White Sox have completely exploded. A 5 spot here in the 11th, all of which has been with 2 outs. Garrett Hampson now looking to continue the rally as he pops it up, and it looks like he will not. The catcher Connor Wong will make the play, but a big inning for the White Sox as we score 5 runs to make it 6-1. That should be enough to snap the losing streak. Now, the Red Sox made it a little bit closer, but not close enough. Willie Castro with an RBI single as we get the win 6-2. The 6-game losing streak is snapped, and hopefully that big 11th inning, our 5-run, 2-out rally, can give us a little bit of momentum going forward. We had a lot of guys with some big hits there. Corey Julks, 3 hits today. BMO with a couple. He scored and drove in a run. Cody Hosey, multiple hits, multiple RBIs. Nestor Cortez had a good start, but the bullpen, Bednar in the 11th, fell short. Another late trade offer, we could get Jock Peterson from the Rangers. I'm not willing to trade Braden Montgomery, though. He's too important for our future. Camilo Duvall to the Athletics. This is a really interesting one. So the Braves signed him this offseason, and they're immediately trading him away. I guess they wanted to sign him so they could flip him for some prospects. I kind of get this, though, for the A's. Duvall's been better this year than Mason Miller, and he has 2 additional years on his contract. The A's certainly are not contending, but they figure at a pretty reasonable price, we can get a really good closer for the next 4 years. We then got one final offer from the Marlins for Aurelvis Martinez, who we are familiar with, I think ironically from the Marlins series, but I'm going to say no. We lost the last game against the Red Sox, but we've taken the first 2 in Tampa Bay, looking for the sweep. Or not. Adolis Garcia walks it off into left field off of the All-Star Ezra Valenzuela, and the Tampa Bay Rays avoid the sweep. Garcia, the hero for the Rays, as the crowd gets wild. The dozens of fans in the stadium erupt. I was appalled at how quiet it was after he walked it off. I feel like you could have heard a pin drop in this building. It's impressive that even without many people in the stadium because of such low capacity, the Rays are still the number 1 seed. Brent Rooker leading off for whatever reason, homered in this game to help avoid the sweep. Now against Cleveland, we lost the first game. We've got a lot of work to do here in these last 2. We lead 6-4 here in the bottom of the 8th. Bases are loaded. 2 away. 2-2 for George Valera. Got him looking on the slider. A huge pitch from Tony Santillan, who's fired up. We would add some insurance in the 9th. The 2-run homer by Luis Robert to help seal the deal as we get the win, 8-4. Pivotal win against a Cleveland team who, as I mentioned earlier, we're going after that last wild card spot with. This Cleveland team in the past has started season slow and has picked it up as the year has gone along, so that's why I really see them as a threat. But we're able to get the win, and now we're looking to win the series. Bottom of the 10th, tied at 2. Jairo Iriarte has just been put in the game. I don't know why they did that, but I guess we're going to roll with it. 2-1, full count. Jeremy Pena draws a walk, and the bases are now loaded. They can win this game with a hit or a walk. It's Lars Nootbaar, who's having a nice year, and remember, we tried to sign him in free agency. The 1-0, it's lined into center. Lou Bob will quickly make it over to it as the Guardians leave him loaded. Let's fast forward into the top of the 12th. Both teams having a lot of trouble scoring these extra inning runs, but we can change that here. 2 on, 2 away, 1-2 for Corey Julks. Belts this one over the glove of Naylor. Are we going to try to send him? Yes, we do. Throw to the plate. Not in time! And the White Sox take the lead. Corey Julks, who's been playing out of his mind over the last 3 weeks, with an RBI single to put us ahead. Braden Montgomery now, first pitch of the AB, bloops it into right, and it is caught. So we're not going to have another 5-run, 2-out rally like we did against the Red Sox. But we take the lead, and we'll see if Ezra Valenzuela can close the door. He just allowed a walk-off against the Rays. Hopefully we don't have the same fate here. Valera into center field. That'll go for a hit. Cleveland looks to score the run. Play at the plate. Not in time. And we are knotted up at 3. George Valera, Guardians franchise legend, comes up big. Now Angel Martinez is up for Cleveland. Behind in the count 1-2. And he swings at a pitch in the dirt. Martinez has really good plate discipline for a young guy, but he chases the sinker. What a pitch by Ezra. Jeremy Pena now, the 0-2. Pops it up into foul territory. Edgar Caro is under it. And we are headed to a 13th inning. Both teams with a run here in the 12th. We're going to go all the way to the 14th. No one scored in the 13th. Edgar Caro brought in a run for us. The tie-in run is at third for Cleveland against David Fry, who pops it up into left. Montgomery is under it. He will make the play. Cleveland will send the runner. The throw for Montgomery is in time, and that'll do it! The White Sox hang on. Ezra Valenzuela gives us 3 innings to finish off the job. Ezra's stamina rating is really high for a closer. I think it's in the 40s. And we needed everything out of him in this game. Kyle Teal, 2 for 6, big home run. Julks had the RBI in the 12th. Caro had the game-winning RBI in the 14th. And then Braden Montgomery with the defensive play to seal it. It was not a great throw. It was a little bit off, but he was able to get it there super quickly, so it didn't end up really mattering. So overall, I feel really happy with how we performed on this road trip. We went 5-4 against 2 of the best teams in the AL with Boston and the Rays, and then Cleveland. Not easy matchups whatsoever, including series wins against the Rays, who might be the best team in the AL right now, and then Cleveland, who we're competing with for a wild card spot. Dean Kremer's first start in that last game against the Red Sox did not go well. His second game against Cleveland was a lot better. We had a 10 spot here in this matchup against the Rays, the offense with some impressive performances. But despite the fact that we're playing better, we're not really moving in the standings. 5 out in the division, 3 out in the wild card. The Rangers have surpassed us now. I figured it was only a matter of time for them. And that's yet another team that we're going to have to jump above in the standings. Before we move further, let's take a look at this draft class. I'm really excited to see how good Shane Schmidt is because you guys in the comments seem to think that he is the best prospect in the draft. I think he's the best prospect in the draft. Our scouts think he's the best prospect in the draft. So let's see if this guy ends up being the real deal. All right, here we go. Hello! Wow! Look at him! 79 overall with 99 potential. We got our guy. The rest of the draft looks pretty solid. 92 potential for Mike Benitez. We got to look at Shane Schmidt in his entirety. We might have just drafted our franchise player. Wow. He has excellent offensive attributes across the board. He hits righties well. He hits lefties well. He's got good plate skills for an 18-year-old. The defense is pretty bad at first base. He can play right field, but I definitely do not want him in the outfield. I don't really know how we're going to make it work with shuffling Caro and Kyle Teal at catcher. Caro's been playing a lot of first base. So I don't know how it's going to work, but that's a good problem that we'll have to figure out later because we are not going to have his bat out of the lineup, assuming he plays as well as his stats show. Zeke Colbert, our other first rounder, 65 overall, 80 potential. Little disappointed. I thought the potential would be a little bit higher, but I do like the skill set. Joey Smith, 68 overall, 83 potential. I think he's only a year away from being a big league contributor. 8 potential for Mike Benitez. And then the other guys don't look overly impressive, although maybe Seamus Garrison with 79 potential could become something. Let's look at some of these other drafts across the league. The guy not on our team I was most curious about was Russell Lim in Detroit, and he looks really good. 76 overall, 93 potential. Lim was the number 1 projected pick in the draft, and he took a nosedive. I think partly because of his contract demands, partly because of his medicals. I felt like he was really good, though, and if Shane Schmidt was not on the board at 9, he would have been my pick. Obviously, Schmidt was there. That was our guy. But I really liked Russell Lim. I don't know why he fell to the middle of the first round, and now the rest of the AL Central is going to have to pay for it. Marcelo Alonso and Tom Ye, both top 3 picks. Both look pretty solid. Ye, in particular, could be a big impact bat for the Twins as soon as next year. 99 potential for Jermaine Clements for the Astros. A big get for them in the later rounds as they try to continue to rebuild their farm system. They've got a pretty good group there in Houston. Cameron Roberts is a guy I liked a lot, 70 overall, 85 potential. Lawrence Pokey was a player who I would have had on my radar at number 9. He has 92 potential. So all the guys we really liked look really good. Our scouts did a terrific job this draft cycle. As we continue to move forward, Dan Acar, 91 potential, a good pick there by the Mets. Clay Fulleylove was the guy I wanted with the Zeke Colbert pick. 60 overall, 89 potential. So he's a little bit worse off rip, but the potential is higher. Good pick there by the Phillies at the end of the first round. Nationals got a nice closer with Keenan Corey. 64 overall, 90 potential. Looks like a pretty good pick. Alonso Marrero was a top 5 projected pick. We didn't really scout him, so I didn't know anything about him as a prospect, but he looks like a total bust for the Cubs. And the NL Central overall did not do a very good job in this year's draft, except for the Cardinals, who drafted 2 93 potential guys late in the draft. As for the NL West, Israel Cairo is a guy I liked, failed his physical though, which made him a little bit of a question. Seems like a pretty good player though going to the Diamondbacks. Guys, I have bad news. They keep getting away with it. The Dodgers got a generational pitcher with Jose Carmona, who we didn't scout at all. He was not on my radar in the slightest. But not only is he an 80 with 99 potential, but he's going to the Dodgers. As if they need any more help. They just got arguably the best prospect in the draft. Maybe even better than Shane Schmidt. The Red Sox did really well. 4 guys with at least 86 potential. Justin Robert with the Yankees. He's a prospect I like quite a bit. He looks really good. The Rays, per usual, finding a lot of talented players. And then the number 1 overall pick, Dami Dennis, 63 with 88. So overall, this definitely was not our deepest class. But we drafted a stud at the top with Shane Schmidt, who I think can change this lineup in due time. I do want to play one of these games against the Marlins, particularly the last game, so I can use Dean Kremer. So we will simulate through the first 2. We ended up putting a 10 spot again on the Marlins in the first game, winning 10-7. Here in this second game, we trail 6-4, bottom 8, bases loaded. 2 away for Luis Robert in a huge spot against Andrew Nardi. Swinging a miss on the slider. Marlins get out of the jam as the White Sox leave them loaded. Just as we all expected. The Marlins ended up winning the game 6-4, meaning the third and final game of the series will be the rubber match. Maybe one day our team will give us consistent production in clutch spots. Today is not that day. Although, to be honest, it's kind of a miracle that we only lost by 2. The Marlins had 16 hits to go along with 4 walks and another to reach base off of an error. That's 21 base runners for them in this game. How did they only score 6? 6 solid innings for Thomas White. As for us, 9 hits, 3 walks. Offense was okay. Homer for Corey Julks. Drew Thorpe allowed 12 hits in 4 2/3 innings. That is really not good. What is good is our 10-7 win here in the first matchup. Not a great outing for Yuri Perez. Kyle Teal and Chase Mydroff both go deep. Even though it was not Hagen Smith's best day, we did get the win. We've got to talk about Drew Thorpe, though, because I'm getting a little bit concerned. He's already allowed more hits than he did in Season 1, despite 50 less innings. His whip up to 1.44 over his last 10, it's at 1.55. He is not pitching very well right now, so we've got to get this sorted out at some point. That sets us up for the final game of the series. Before that, though, I do want to update you on Randy Arozarena's wheel spin now that his 10-game punishment is over. He really wasn't that bad. He hit 295, OPS in the 700s. Shout out Randy, having one hell of a season. So that'll bring us to our third and final game of the series against the Marlins. The series tied at 1. The White Sox will never not be 500 this year. We are now 60-60. Dean Kremer on the bump. He has struggled through his first 2 starts with the White Sox since the trade. 10 2/3 innings with an ERA in the mid-8s. You think that's bad? He's arguably been the better of our 2 trade deadline acquisitions. Garrett Hampson in 10 games with the White Sox has 6 hits and 16 strikeouts. He has not been very good. Neither has Kremer. It's early. It's not much of a sample, but so far our 2 trade deadline acquisitions have been really, really bad. So hopefully they can each play a little better today. Miguel Castilla goes down looking, former high draft pick of the Marlins, who's developed into a nice player here with the Fish. Brandon Marsh now up for Miami, signed a $100 million contract in the offseason, belts it into right, and that one goes over the glove of Dylan Cruz. Rounding first, headed to second, he is in with a double. I give the Marlins a lot of credit. They started winning a lot of games last year, and they've really changed their team-building philosophy. Not afraid to spend money on guys like Brandon Marsh and Cal Raleigh. Full count for Connor Norby. Chases the high fastball. Should have let it go for a walk. Norby's had an outstanding season. He's been their best player this year, but he should not have swung at that. The biggest reason for the Marlins' revival has been John Means. But he has not been very good this year. ERA hovering right around 5. He's been a lot worse than his near Cy Young campaign a year ago as Cody Hosey belts it into right center. That one will one-hop over the wall for a ground rule double. Hosey's been playing some really good ball as of recent. He's taken the leadoff spot back from Garrett Hampson. Braden Montgomery into right field. Castilla after it. He'll make the play. Will send the runner Hosey over to third. The throw is in time! Doubles him up! What a play in the outfield by Miguel Castilla with a cannon over to third base. Lou Bob now up for the White Sox, and he belts this one up the middle. Another hit for Chicago, 107 off the bat for Robert. We haven't talked a lot about him lately because there hasn't been a lot to go over. He's hitting the ball really well. He continues to play like an all-star, having another great season towards the top of the AL in home runs. Caro bounces it over to short. Nice scoop. Throw to first is in time. A great defensive play there by Otto Lopez as it remains scoreless through one, and that'll send us into the second. Lopez up with one away, finds himself ahead in the count 3-1 against Dean Kremer, looking to potentially avoid the walk. Don't want to give too many free base runners to the Marlins. You know, on second thought, I think I'd be okay with the walk because Otto Lopez belts it into right center over the bullpen, 429 feet. And the Fish strike first. Lopez's 6th home run of this season, certainly one of his farthest. And Miami is on the board. P.J. Morlando now up for the Marlins, and he goes down on the 12-6 curve. Good pitch there by Kremer, but not a great inning as he allows a solo shot to Otto Lopez. Daniel Schneemann up here in the second, swinging a miss on the fastball. John Means obviously not a strikeout guy, but he generates one there. Sun Che Chen here in the third leads the inning off with a gapper into left center field. That one goes for a hit. Another base runner here for Miami. They've done a really solid job so far of getting guys aboard early. Miguel Castilla had the big defensive play back in the bottom of the first. Puts it on the ground. Hosey over to short. Hampson. Why did Kremer not go to the base? You're a Major League 30-year-old veteran who's been around the block for almost a decade. You should know better. Get to first base quicker. As Brandon Marsh belts it into right field, and that one is gone. Cruz can only watch it fly, and it's 3-0. If Kremer gets to first base quicker, then that runner is not aboard, and it would only be 2-0. Still not ideal that he allows the home run, but would have made the lead a little bit closer. So it's the Marlins who are up early, and now they've got Yordan Alvarez up as he goes down on the 12-6 curve. Now that's a nice pitch. Much better from Dean Kremer. Connor Norby up, struck out last time on a high fastball, and he does it again. Kremer has not been very good today, but it seems like he knows where to pick his spot against Norby. 2-run homer by Marsh as we go bottom 3. Oswaldo Escobedo into left field. That one will go off the wall. He will waltz his way over to second base. Waldo is in for a leadoff double. This is where we get back into this game. Start to stack some base runners and get the offense rolling. Cody Hosey, full count. Got him looking. Nice pitch by John Means for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Braden Montgomery, hitting for the right side of the plate. Going into this year, I felt like he was better against righties, but he's hitting over 300 against lefties this year as he singles into right. We're not going to test the arm of Castilla. We learned after the first inning, so Escobedo is going to have to hold up at third. Big at bat here for Luis Robert. 2 on, 2 away, 2-2 count. Pitch from John Means. Pops it up. Will barely stay in fair territory. Actually, it won't. Not that it's going to matter, as it's caught by Chang. And Means gets out of the inning. We will move into the fourth. Cal Raleigh leads things off. The big dumper. Swinging a miss. Look at the dump for the first out of the inning. Kremer's had a lot of good swing and miss stuff. That's 7 against Conine. Down the line, fair ball gets by Schneemann for a base hit. The swing and miss stuff has been there for Kremer, but he's allowing too many hard hit balls. When the Marlins are connecting, they're getting good contact. Morlando rips it into center. 100 off the bat. Looked like Luis Robert kind of hesitated with what he was going to do with the ball. Eventually sends it over to the cutoff man. 2 on, 2 away for Sun Che Chen. Swing and a miss on the fastball. That'll probably be it for Dean Kremer. He's had a long game. Pitch count is getting high with all the base runners he's led up. Struck out 8, but allowed 3, including a pair of home runs. Edgar Caro goes down on the fastball. John Means is looking a lot more like his last year self. He's a weird pitcher because he doesn't throw super hard. He doesn't overpower you with the swing and miss stuff. But the guy's just good. He doesn't allow hits. He doesn't allow walks. As he strikes out Dylan Cruz, who goes down looking. And then Daniel Schneemann into the air in left field, where it is caught by Griffin Conine. And that will wrap up the 4th. Into the top of the 5th. Hayden Wesneski out of the bullpen. His second relief appearance of this season. I think this is going to be in his best interest long term to try to be smart with his innings because, again, he is a primary reliever who we're trying to convert into a starter. Marsh chases the high cutter after 2 hits early in the game, including the home run back in the 3rd. Yordan Alvarez now up for the Fish. Count is even, 2-2. Pitch from Wesneski, and this one will beat the shift perfectly. If not for the shift, Hampson makes that play, but because he was playing in towards the right side, Alvarez is able to get the base hit. Got to be able to hit to all fields, kids. Norby on the ground to second. Julks the turnaround and the throw. Wesneski gets through the 5th as we go to the bottom half, and Miami's going to make a surprise switch. They are trying to conserve John Means' arm with his struggles this year. They want to take it safe with him, and they want him ready in the playoffs once that comes. So it's James Karinchak, the former White Sox, into the game. He's turned into a good player since we traded him away as he strikes out Corey Julks. That trade ended up being a big win for us, though, because we ended up getting Hayden Wesneski in that deal, who has become better than James Karinchak. Garrett Hampson, the 2-1, pops it up. His batting average has gone down by 20 points since the trade. He has really not been good whatsoever. The contact, the power, the plate skills, it has all been rough for him offensively, and I'm really hoping that he's able to figure it out because we need his skill set. That'll send us into the 6th. Wesneski will stay in. He'll face off against Cal Raleigh up the middle. Julks bobbles it. Throw to first. Not in time. The big dumper beats the throw. A throwing error for Corey Julks, who is not a primary infielder. He can play the infield spots, but he is responsible for the blunder there. Griffin Conine with a single into left. That's now 2 base runners for Miami. Not really Wesneski's fault. An error and a bloop hit. Here's another bloop hit from Shun-Che Chen. Single into left. They're going to look to score the run. Play at the plate. Not in time! A great throw by Montgomery, but it doesn't matter. Raleigh is safe anyway, and it's 4-0. Castilla down the line. Schneemann backhanded in time over to first. But the Marlins add an unearned run with an error and 2 bloop hits. As we go bottom 6, 4-0 ball game. Karinchak still in the game as Luis Robert hits this one high. Kind of jammed the inside of the bat, but with his raw power, he's still able to get it pretty solid distance where it is eventually caught by Castilla. Our offense has just not shown up today. They've given us nothing in this game as we move into the 7th. The flame-throwing Ben Joyce is in for the Sox, 4.56 ERA on the season. They'll face off against Brandon Marsh. Got him looking. 1-0-1 for Marsh. He doesn't even have time to react with how fast that one came in. Yordan Alvarez now. Got him on the high heat at 1-0-2. What a pitch. With Joyce, he throws harder than anyone, but you just don't know where the pitch is going. Norby on the circle change. Joyce strikes out the side. That inning is why we're so excited about him. Even though he has not put all the pieces together, the flashes are very clearly there. Former White Sox Kyle Nelson out of the bullpen for the Marlins. We had him in seasons 2 and 3. Showed some good things, but was always pretty inconsistent. He'll start with Edgar Caro, who gets a big-time piece of this one. Into left center. 448, a moonshot for Edgar Caro, and the White Sox are finally on the board. Yes, his 7th home run of the season. Caro's been really productive over the last month and a half since coming back from injury. He's been just as good as we could have hoped. He sent that ball a long way off of his former teammate Kyle Nelson. Dylan Cruz now up for the White Sox. Count is full, and he draws a walk. Another base runner here. We're finally starting to get something going against Nelson, who had some rough outings for us, especially in the second half of last year. Daniel Schneemann up for the Sox. Ahead 2-1. Cruz for second. Really nice diving grab by Cheng. If not for Cruz running, that could have been a double play. So at least we're able to move the runner up. They're going to yank Nelson out of the game after his minimum of 3 batters, and he'll be replaced by Jonathan Loaizaga. 1.96 ERA. He's having a very good season for the Marlins. With a runner at second, now over to third, he'll get Oswaldo Escobedo with 2 away. Waldo into right. That's not going to be enough as it is caught by Castilla. Who would have thought we do not get the clutch hit from Oswaldo Escobedo? We get one with the homer by Caro, but we still got a lot of work to do. Penn Murphy in here for the 8th. 3.2 ERA. Had that great opening month and has been pretty average since, but not bad. Lopez to third. Schneemann, his throw is offline. Another error for the White Sox. It was Julks in the 6th, and now Schneemann with the throwing error here in the 8th. So that'll give the Marlins another base runner. That'll bring up Griffin Conine, who connects on one into right. Cruz watches it sail over his head. 383 feet for the 2025 National League Rookie of the Year. Griffin Conine's 11th of the year, and the Marlins now appear to be in full control. We are going to yank Murphy and replace him with Brock Burke, who also, like Murphy, was red hot early in the year and since then has been just kind of average. Against Chun-Che Chen, 2-2. Got him on the slider, so Burke gets the final 2 outs. But the Marlins had 2 more runs. With a homer by Conine, they're up comfortably here going into the bottom of the 8th. White Sox hoping for a lot. Hosey draws a walk. Not an easy pitch to lay off. A good take against Loaizaga, who's still in the game. That'll bring up Braden Montgomery, the 1-1. BMO into center field. That goes for a hit. Quick cutoff. Good defense by Marsh. Hosey over to third. Anyway, he's safe. And now we've got runners on the corners. 1 away. We've got to take advantage of this. Luis Robert hits it high in the air. Deep into right field. It is caught by Castilla. We're going to test him again. The throw to the plate. It's in time! Part-time ball player, full-time sniper. Castilla throws out Hosey for the 2nd time this afternoon, and that one was not even close. He clearly got that one. Into the 9th. We're going to get through the inning fairly quickly, aided by a 3-6-3 double play. Good scoop by Edgar Caro. Now Dylan Lesko looks to shut the door here in the bottom of the 9th. 3.62 ERA on the season. 2 away. Schneemann into center. This one is certainly catchable, and it is caught by Marsh. Marlins win this series. They win this last game 6-1. Some days you are the windshield, and other days you are the bug. Today we were the bug. The offense was bad. The pitching was pretty bad. The defense was bad with the 2 errors. Homers for Lopez, Marsh, and Conine. 4 scoreless for Means, 2 scoreless for Karinchak. He got the win. We had the homer by Caro, but I think we only had 1 player with multiple hits. That was Montgomery. Garrett Hampson, 0 for 2. He was not good. Dean Kremer was not good. The struggles for those 2 continue to be quite notable. Kremer has not had a good start yet with us. I know he had a quality start against Cleveland, but even so, it's not like he was great. Allowed 7 against Boston, 3 in just 4 innings today. And then Garrett Hampson, these numbers are abysmal. His OPS is in the low 300s over his last 10. So again, it's early. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but those guys got to get it together. So now we are 60-61. Still an uphill battle for one of these playoff spots. But I think we have a favorable schedule the rest of August. Home against the Tigers, home against the lowly Angels, at Minnesota, at Detroit, versus Minnesota again, and then versus Seattle. We've got 7 games at home. We start with the Tigers, where we would take 2 of 3. Then against the Angels, we've been dominant. Through the first nearly 2 games, we've outscored them 19-1. We won 13-1 first time around. We're up 8-0 here. Oswaldo Escobedo has a 10-game hitting streak that he's currently working with, and we're going to look to push that up. With 2 runners in scoring position, Waldo hits this one into right, and it's going to go down for a hit. 1 run scores, second one joins him. I don't believe it. We got a clutch hit from Oswaldo Escobedo to bring in 2 runs. I mean, how clutch really was it? The score is 8-0. But you know what? Baby steps. I'll take it. We get the win, 10-2. As the Angels added some runs back in the 9th, making up for the single by Waldo, but still pretty bad. This Angels team is is horrible. I don't know how they were above 500 the first month of the year. That blows my mind. We hit the ball really well. Homers for Rivera and Julks. Mydroth drove in 3. Thorpe 7 scoreless. Where's that guy been? So we ended up sweeping the Angels. We're 6-1 in our last 7. We had the series win against Detroit. We won this last game 6-3. Homer by Caro. Hagen Smith was not good, but the rest of the team was. And then versus the Angels, we just pummeled these guys. 13-1 in the first game. Hosey Homer drove in 3. Julks drove in 6. Dean Kremer, 8 innings of 1-run ball. You thought that was good. Noah Schultz one-upped him here in this 5-0 winning game 3, going 8 innings of scoreless ball. Homer for Cruz. Hosey drove in a pair. And then 12-7 in the last game. The pitching was not as good, but it didn't matter. Homers for Hosey and Julks. The team dominated at the plate. We scored 40 runs in this series, and the biggest reasons are Cody Hosey and Corey Julks. These two guys are balling right now. Hosey's playing some incredible baseball, 390 in his last 10. And then Corey Julks, he's really hot and cold. He's super streaky, but he's been hot for a while. 16 RBIs in his last 10. He has multiple games in the Angels series where he drove in at least 5. But despite our 5-game win streak, we're not making up any ground. 3.5 out for a wild card spot, and we're still right with Cleveland, who's won 6 in a row. We'll see how we do for the final few series of the month, starting with Minnesota. Brandon Montgomery has homered twice here in this first game. We'll see if he can get a third. No, he strikes out. Good pitch by Marco Raya. We would still get the win. Both teams would add one more run as we take it 7-5. Remember when we had that super long losing streak at the beginning of the day where we lost, I think, 6 in a row? That feels like a while ago. The White Sox, now red hot, have won 5 straight games and 7 of their last 8. Homers for Teal and Waldo, while Montgomery had 2. Hagen Smith was not great again, but the bullpen did their thing in the win. We'll see if the team can continue their impressive play. Winners of 5 in a row here in this second matchup as we're up 3-1. The hit streak for Waldo is still alive. It has moved up to 13 games. Runner at second base, another clutch spot, and another clutch hit! Down the line and fair, a little bit more high leverage than the last one. We're going for second, and he is safe. An RBI double for Oswaldo Escobedo. And the White Sox make it 4-1. And that double proved to be a big deal because Minnesota added a couple more runs. We did as well with an RBI triple for Edgar Caro. Dean Kremer, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. He is playing a lot better. Garrett Hampson has also played better. Today's a bad example. He went 0 for 5. But he has been improving. So that is now 6 consecutive wins for the White Sox. And the good news keeps on coming. Brian Ramos is off the 60-day injured list. Luis Angel Acuna is also healthy in AAA. But this is such a big deal. Getting Brian Ramos back, who we've been out for the last 2 months. He was playing unbelievably well before he got injured. WAR at 2. Contact the best it's ever been. Walk rate at 11% on the year. Now, Chase Mydroth is still playing really well. He's hitting 300 on the year. I don't really want to send him down. He's been good. So we are going to DFA Emmanuel Rivera. He's been a good starter for us over the last couple of years, but his role's been replaced. Since he has over 5 years of service, we cannot send him down to the minors, so we will designate him for assignment instead. Thanks for the memories, my friend. It's been real. Unfortunately, the win streak for us came to a close at 6. We lost the last game against Minnesota, and we're down 7-4 here in this first game against the Tigers. 14-game hitting streak now on the line for Oswaldo Escobedo. And I think it's fair to say the hit streak will live another day. Blast this one into left. That baby is gone. A+ pimp job for Waldo. That's his 17th home run of the year. His power has been by far the biggest surprise in terms of a good surprise in his game. Corey Julks' 2-run hit would tie it, but the Tigers end up walking it off. They win this game 8-7. We hit the ball well. Homers for Caro, Waldo, Hosey, and Julks. Those 2 guys remain hot. Noah Schultz was not great. He's been very good over the last month. He was kind of due for a rough game, while Scooby goes 7 solid. 15-game hitting streak now on the line for Oswaldo Escobedo, and this is a big spot Top of the ninth, we're up 3-2, runner on second, as Waldo continues the hit streak again. Belts it into left. We're going to hold the runner, probably a smart call. But Oswaldo Escobedo keeps getting these late game hits. This hit streak will not die. It's up to 16 games now. Unfortunately, we did not score either of the runners, and now the Tigers have a chance to win it. Ezra Valenzuela allowed the walk-off earlier to Adolis Garcia. Hopefully we don't let the same fate happen again as Riley Green goes down looking, the impending free agent at the end of the year. Kerry Carpenter, another free agent currently at first base. Eugenio Suarez on the ground. Escobedo makes the play. Throw to first is in time, and the White Sox even the series up at 1. 3-2 final score. Good win here for the Sox. I certainly did not want to lose this series, or certainly not have the potential risk of getting swept. 6 innings of 2-run ball for John Gray. Another homer for Braden Montgomery. He's played very well as of recent. Home run number 33 on this season for Luis Robert as well. Not enough offensively for Detroit in this one, while Hunter Brown gets the loss, 6 innings, allowing 3. So we'll go into the last game. It's now a 16-game hitting streak for Waldo, and it's a huge spot. 5-4, runners on the corners, nobody out. And Waldo gets a piece of it into right center. That's going to drop! Another hit for Oswaldo Escobedo. That'll bring home a run, and we are tied at 5. Oswaldo Escobedo is killing the narrative that he's not clutch. He's like 4 or 5 hits with runners in scoring position during this hit streak. We'll go top 10, game tied at 6. Big home run in the bottom of the 8th by Parker Meadows to tie it for Detroit. 2 on, 1 away for Brian Ramos, who's been cold since coming back. Not for much longer. This goes into the gap. It'll score at least 1, maybe 2. No, we're going to hold the runner at third. Luis Robert. Probably not a smart idea to challenge. The Tigers did a good job of relaying the ball in, but it's an RBI double for Brian Ramos, and the lead is up to 1 for the White Sox. Corey Julks goes down looking. Nice pitch by Tyler Holton. Runners in scoring position. 2 away for Montgomery with a sharp grounder to third. And a nice scoop by Eugenio Suarez. We only get 1. It feels like we could have gotten more there. And now we're going to need to shut the door in the bottom of the 10th. 1 away. Suarez at second. Ezra Valenzuela on the bump as he faces off against Jefferson Morales. What a pitch. Sinker was low. I didn't think that was a strike in real time. I wouldn't have swung. Rengifo over to third. Ramos makes the play. And the White Sox win yet another series as we take this game 7-6. The Sox have won 4 series in a row and 6 of our last 7. These guys are playing some good ball, but we're still not making up any ground. We're 3 out of a playoff spot as it currently stands. And we get some more bad news. Torn finger ligament for Martin Burt. The former first-round pick's season comes to a close. I would say he perfectly met expectations in AAA. I don't really know what his future is with the addition of Shane Schmidt, but he had a good but not great season. Here against Minnesota, it's a 17-game hitting streak for Oswaldo Escobedo. We're down 3-2 as Waldo up the middle. Are you kidding? It will not die. Play at the plate, not in time. Another huge RBI for Oswaldo Escobedo. It's an 18-game hitting streak. Clutch hits galore for Waldo. This unclutch narrative has been cooked in the last 20 minutes. He's had some huge hits for us. Top 10 tied at 3. Wilson Contreras goes down on the high fastball. Jairo Iriarte has been pitching out of his mind over the last few innings. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. Luke Keeschel into left, into the seats. 420, blaze it. Minnesota up by 3. We had Iriarte continue to pitch into the 10th. It wasn't so much a decision of his stamina because obviously he can go 3 innings, but more so, is he the guy you want in a high-leverage spot? With how well he had pitched today, I wanted to trust him, and unfortunately it backfires. Tony Santillan will replace him against Brooks Lee with a runner at first. Foul back, and it's caught! A diving scoop by Kyle Teal on his back, but not before allowing 3. However, we would get 3 right back. Kyle Teal RBI single. Brian Ramos brings home 2. And the winning run, Edgar Caro is at second base. 1 away for Dylan Cruz against Cody Funderburk. On the ground, gets by Brooks Lee. We're going to send the runner. The throw from Trammell is in time! Minnesota keeps the game alive. I thought he was going to be safe. Taylor Trammell saves the day for Minnesota. What a 10th inning this has turned out to be. Corey Julks grounded to short. Carlos Correa makes the play. Minnesota gets 3 in the top of the 10th. We get 3 in the bottom of the 10th. Unfortunately, that play by Trammell won Minnesota the game. They ended up scoring 2 additional runs in the 11th to win it 8-6. Santillan allowed the 2 runs, which is odd because I set for Ezra Valenzuela to come in the game in the 11th, and he didn't. I don't know why that is. And I guess him not coming in might have costed us the game, unfortunately. Here in this next game of the series, Brian Ramos is homered twice, looking for a third in a 6-3 lead here in the bottom of the 8th against A.J. Smith-Shawver. Behind in the count, 0-1 is Ramos, and he hits this one well into right. When I saw him hesitate, I thought maybe it was a home run, but instead it was just foul. Behind 0-2, swing and a miss. We will not get the 3-home run game for Brian Ramos, but we will get the win by the final score of 6-3. Now, unfortunately, we lost the second game, 11-5. A rough showing in that game, pitching-wise. Drew Thorpe got the loss, but at least we won this game to avoid the sweep. We have a lot of positive momentum. I feel like a sweep would have really dampened things, so it was good that we were still able to ultimately win a game against the Twins. Offense only had 7 hits, but they made plays when they needed to. Homer for Schneemann, 2 for Ramos. Noah Schultz was solid, 5 1/3, allowing 2 earned runs, 3 runs allowed total. Romeo Sanabria is off the injured list, and he will be off to AAA Charlotte. We had him up in the first half of the year because we needed a backup catcher, but with Edgar Quero healthy, we don't really need him. It's now a 20-game hitting streak for Oswaldo Escobedo, and the weird thing about it is that overall he's not even playing well. His average has barely changed, and his WAR has gone down over the last month, but he keeps getting hits. Does not get one here. Pops it into foul territory where it will be caught for the first out of the inning. And since we're in the 7th, I would like to think that we might get another chance. Oh, I guess we're not. So the hit streak ends at 20 for Oswaldo Escobedo. I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that he kept the hitting streak going that long, or the fact that he got a negative WAR accumulated during the 20-game hit streak where he had a lot of big hits for us. Jaden Hill gets the loss for Seattle. He wasn't too bad, though. The offense did enough. Or I really should say Kyle Teal did enough. He had 4 hits. He was a double shy at the cycle. And he drove in or scored all of our runs. 7 scoreless for John Gray. Maybe his best game of the year. Edgar Quero does strain his tricep, though. He'll be out for a couple of days. Here in the second game against Seattle, we're down 2-1. Really good start from Hagen Smith, which is good. He did not have the best month of August. That one gets away from Matt Brash, and we're going to be able to send the runner over to second base. A speedy runner at that with Dylan Cruz, as Corey Julks sends it into center. J-Rod will make the play. I thought about not testing him at all because it's Julio Rodriguez. He wasn't even looking to get that ball out quick at all. Luckily, we did send Cruz, but he was very nonchalant about that. Garrett Hampson now averaged down to 269 as he goes down on the slider. Overall, just not a very good month for Garrett Hampson. That'll bring up Braden Montgomery with the game on the line. Sharply down the line, it is a fair ball. We are tied at 2. Bimo over to second. He is safe with a double. This one's knotted up. The tying run aboard. The winning run now in scoring position for Cody Hosey, who's had an incredible month of August. And this one's going to go for a hit. Montgomery will score, and that'll do it. The White Sox walk it off. Braden Montgomery with the game-tying RBI and the game-winning run driven in by Cody Hosey. Hosey and Corey Julks are our 2 MVPs of the month. Those guys have been unbelievably good. Julks in particular because he's never been an everyday player for us. Not even for most of this year. I mean, now we're playing him every day with how good he's been as we hop into this last game. 6-7. Now we've got another big opportunity for Braden Montgomery, who has another chance, much like the last game, to tie it up. It's deja vu. That one gets away from Snyder. You don't really need to send the runner up, but might as well. So now Ramos, who's fast, is at third. That one nearly got away from him as well. Now the count is full. Chase Mydroff on deck. We might make a switch with him to the bench, even though he has played well here in August. The 3-2, this one is up the middle, and it looks like the play will be made at second base by Edmundo Sosa. The Mariners avoid the sweep. They win at 7-6. I'll take a good series win, though, against a strong Seattle team who is 7.5 games up in the American League West. Even though us and them are pretty much even in terms of record, we're not really competing with them because they are probably going to win their division because the rest of their division, including the Rangers, are a bunch of trolls. Not a great start from Kremer. Pretty good game from the offense, though. We don't really have to go over any of these games because we played like all of them with that hit streak lasting so long for Waldo. So overall, a good month. Finally, we're not 500. We're 6 games over. But we didn't make up much ground. We're still 3 back in the wild card. Luckily, we're the first team out. And we're still, I think, 5 back in the division of Detroit. That sets us up for our final 22 games of the year going into September. We have some tough games. Boston, Seattle, maybe Texas, maybe Cleveland. But I think the schedule's pretty favorable for us. We're very close to matching our win total from last year. We only need one more to tie it. So next episode is what we've been waiting for the entire series. 4 months in the making. We have a chance to make it to the postseason for the first time in the next episode. Can we do it? Find out then. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.